I remember somebody told me my first year doing the expo, it was Danny Menendez. He said it's the most possessive mistress of all. He said it'll the final day of the season you lose and it'll rip your heart out and stomp on it with both feet, and you go to sleep crying and you wake up the next morning and you think, okay, what are we going to do to win next year? Instead of forgetting about baseball.
The original Dawgs started mainly to give these talented kids that we had a chance to improve that wasn't otherwise offered in the city, and that would have been 1995, 1996.
As a team that began as a youth team with high school players just simply looking to play at a higher level and then maybe go on to the next level, it was an ability to see that carry on and see John's dream go forward.
For this notion, for this idea that in the middle of Canada, in the middle of Alberta, we could create something that was extraordinary and special.
So when John called me in the summer of 2002 and said he wanted to start a collegiate summer baseball team in Calgary and would I be interested in investing and partnering, the answer was a very quick and immediate yes.
So it all started with Don Seaman saying, John, let's build the Dawgs a facility.
I told John very early in the game that we had to get a facility for the Dawgs because it was, even before we did have anything, it was a very successful program.
But Don was determined, and Don said, look, this is a fantastic thing that you guys have done. This is a wonderful thing. The only thing missing is a facility, and we've got to get this done. And if there's anybody more determined than me in the world, it's Don Seaman.
And when you think of where it started, a team in Calgary, nowhere to play, a traveling team for 90% of their season.
We approached the city of Calgary, we approached the MD of Foothills, we approached University of Calgary, we approached Mount Royal College, we approached Tsuut'ina Nation. So all of those groups we approached with significant dedication on the basis that we will build you this extraordinary facility if you partner with us and give us the land. And it was primarily in Calgary area where they needed facilities.
And despite everybody saying no, and despite Calgary and surrounding areas and everyone else saying we had nowhere for you to go, the pursuit kept on. And
when that didn't work, when no one took us up on that offer, Okotoks kicked in, and Okotoks from the get-go was a community that wanted this.
I knew that Okotoks was a sports community, and so I just felt that this was an opportunity.
Well, I think it caught everybody by surprise. It definitely caught me by surprise. Initially they had planned to go to Alderside, which is even smaller, just a little bit south, and when they said they were coming to Okotoks, it just turned out really what I think is the best thing that ever happened to the program.
And so then the next step was working with the town and the town's administration and the town council, and we got that through, and John had the cats in here building the ball diamond. And that's the beginning.
We were meant to be in Okotoks. Nobody knew it at the time.
It's like a perfect storm. You had myself and other crackpots with this dream and this vision and this willingness to push and push and push to achieve something and never accepting failure. You had that group. Then you had donors that bought into that vision. You had a town council at that time that was 100% behind the vision, who understood and embraced what it could mean for the city.
And all of those components came together at the right time. You had the right people in leadership in Okotoks. You had this passionate group of lunatics that were the Dawgs baseball organization that would not quit, that were pursuing and persevering, and we wanted to make this happen. And along comes Okotoks and a piece of land, and the right contacts are made, and people know the right people to call to pull this all together. And ultimately, it's the story of ultimate success. There's just no way you could over-exaggerate, overemphasize, and coming from me, that's quite a statement.
So they've gone to a point where they're filling the facility. I told John that to start with, he wasn't building enough seats.
first opening day ever, the directors of the Dawgs got together and we each picked a number, how many people were going to show up for the opening day at the stadium.
There were so many things that didn't look like they would come together for opening night. I mean, literally just a few hours before the gates opened, mounds were being built, final touches being put on the stadium.
I think they would have been satisfied with 800 or 900 fans.
Cars just kept coming and coming. Definitely a scene right out of Field of Dreams, and it truly was. I mean, that cliche was never truer than it was here in Okotoks, and that was the first sellout.
The community immediately jumped onto it, set WMBL records that first year, and it's just continued to grow.
It just boggled their mind, and one day Don leaned over to me and said, "We didn't build it big enough, Bill."
Well, I remember the first time I arrived, and Jim Amy took me right to the indoor facility, and then up to the press box, to get a look at the field, and we were walking through snow drifts. So then when we came back in to the facility, they're hitting ground balls on a AstroTurf infield, like a full-size infield, and George Strait's playing on the radio, and I don't know if it was John or one of the coaches. I said, "Is this heaven?"
From the moment Bob got here, it was one of those, am I in heaven moments? No, no, you're in Okotoks.
For us, we tried to pass on to the fans our passion. There was no instructional video, this is what it means to be a baseball fan, but I do believe they caught our passion and they caught the excitement.
It all falls back to the community and the support of the community and the people within the community that really have the Dawgs vision and sort of that striving for excellence has resonated with all kinds of people, and the host families are a good example of that.
The families that host these kids, that's huge as well.
They treat the billets like one of the family.
We formed a lot of relationships with, like I say, our boys' family, and it just goes on from there. It just dominoed. And it's just like having a big extended family. So it's pretty cool,
We've never struggled very hard to have host families. And when the host families have taken players, they've actually taken them into their families, and they've become big brothers to their children. They've become like surrogate parents or aunts and uncles to the kids that have come here.
In fact, it's been more of a reward to us than anything else. It's just made our family that much bigger.
We have so much fun when they're here.
To see people come up from the States and walk around that stadium with like deer in the headlights, like just looking around like, oh my God, they can't believe it. It makes you puff your chest out a little bit.
We have any of the guys that have come back a second year, their locker nameplate we have on the door down in the basement where they sleep. So we've got 3 up there so far.
No, it's been very rewarding, and I recommend it highly.
I can't believe it's 10 years already.
They've come regardless. They came when we won championships. It was a full house. We lost this year, and it was another full house. I mean, this year, every single home game was an official sellout. I mean, how is that even possible?
Until you go to a few of these games and you just see the closeness of the crowd, it's overwhelming.
But when we first came here, right from the beginning, the extent to which this community embraced the Dawgs was unheard of, unbelievable.
I think that Okotoks is an exceptional town.
I keep telling these boys, once you get out on the road, you'll see how lucky you are, because there is no place out there that is like Okotoks as far as the fans.
Without the community, there's no Dawgs, and without the Dawgs, I don't know if there's the same kind of community.
It's a combination between these extraordinary facilities, the quality of the players, and how much this community has embraced the facilities and the Dawgs teams. It's just amazing. It really is a phenomenon, to be honest with you.
But when you can literally sit with 3,500 friends every night of a summer and watch baseball, it doesn't get much better than that.
I had a guy say to me one day in the concourse, he said, "Well, Bill, I'd really like to thank you for building this stadium." And I said, "I didn't build this stadium." I said, "The goodness of this organization and the Siemens, it fell in our lap.
That I could have been as passionate as I wanted to be. I could have been as determined as I wanted to be. My friends and the other Dawgs founding fathers and supporters could have been as crazy as they were as volunteers in making this happen. Don and Doc and later Mike could have embraced this with, you know, all of their generosity. All that could have happened, but it doesn't. It's not the same picture if you don't have this community supporting it like it has. I mean, when you think that we've had 3,300 fans a game in a season coming to watch this summer collegiate team, it is absolutely phenomenal. And that is such a credit to the community of Okotoks. I honestly don't believe this could have happened anywhere. And it is an amazing story in my mind. So we owe tons of gratitude, because all those other factors were critical, fundamental, essential, but none of it happens without sort of part B, the community buying in.
What the Dawgs has become was never really in my mind that it could be that successful. It's exceptional. I don't think there's any place like this in Canada that can duplicate what they're doing here.
It's the Okotoks Dawgs. It's not the traveling team from Calgary. It's not John or Candia's team. It's made its own identity in this community, and that's part of, I think, as well, why it will be a success in the future going forward.
Just the long-term association with Don Seaman and John and William and all the guys. But it's just been a wonderful relationship. I just really enjoyed it.
Out of everywhere I've played, it's been by far the best experience I've had as a baseball player.
I've said many times that it's an investment that it's my best investment ever.
I don't know where it actually started, but somewhere along the way, the phrase once a dog, always a dog came along.
You know, dogs for life, dog for life, you're a dog for life.